Hey everyone, it's your girl Layla. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another episode of Spooktober. Spooktober episode 4 of 2025 to be exact. We have one left, you guys. One left. And I just want to thank you guys for all of your suggestions on places to visit this year. I have an idea for my last episode, but I am running out of time because I do have to film it like a week from now. So for today's video, I did a ghost tour and a high tea at Heritage Park, and it was a lot of fun, you guys. If you get the chance to do this, even if it's not this year, if it's next year or the year after, I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun, and having high tea at Heritage Park is an amazing experience. This is my second time going for high tea, and loved it every single time. The ghost tour also was really informative and a lot of fun. I've been on some not so great ghost tours in the past, but this one was well worth it, I promise you. So let's get right into the video, you guys. If you are not already subscribed, please go ahead, click that subscribe button below. I upload 3 times a week, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. And every Wednesday for the month of October is going to be something spooky, aka Spooktober. If you've never been to Calgary, then you probably don't even know what Heritage Park is, so I guess I should explain what it is before I get into the buildings, the hauntings, all of that good stuff. Heritage Park is basically a historic site, historic museum here in Calgary, and it contains a lot of buildings that were moved from other places to Heritage Park. Think about older houses, historic sites, that sort of thing, that were moved into the park to be preserved. So it's basically a living and breathing museum. It's an amazing place if you are a historic buff or if you're just visiting Calgary and you want someplace really cool to see. Heritage Park is a lot of fun, especially during the summertime when everything is open. I will say that this time around when we did the ghost tour, all the buildings were closed, the candy shop was closed, the Ferris wheel, all of that stuff was closed for the season. So I highly recommend visiting in the summertime. You just get the most out of your visit that way. You're able to go into the buildings, you're able to go to the candy store. They have really good food, really good ice cream. They have a steamboat and they have some rides. They have like a mini Ferris wheel. It's all included in your admission. So it's just overall a really great experience. I personally love going to Heritage Park. Now, let's get into the creepy stuff about Heritage Park, because when old buildings come into play, that's when energies and spirits come around and you're in for a very spooky treat. I will say I have done a video on one of the buildings in Heritage Park before called the Prince House, so I'm going to briefly talk about that in this video as well. But if you do want to see a full video on just the Prince House, I will leave it in the pinned comment below, or you can check my Spooktober playlist for that. So our first stop was Mindapore Station. Now Mindapore Station is the oldest train station in Calgary because Mindapore itself actually used to be a town. And one day with the economic boom, it was swallowed up by Calgary. So today Mindapore is literally a quadrant in Calgary, but it used to be its own independent town. But this train station was moved into Heritage Park. So there's actually a building here at the train station, and it's 2 stories tall. The top floor of this building is used as office space and storage. And there's 3 sets of scissors that are located here, but 2 of the sets of scissors seem to always go missing, and there's only ever just 1 set of scissors here, which I found really interesting, and it'll be different every single time. So if you have 1 pair of scissors, you end up losing it or you can't find it, but then another one pops up and it's different from the first one. You guys get it. So that was just an interesting little tidbit about Mindapore Station, but let's move on. Let's move on to some more. Okay, so the next building that we visited, this one has a very interesting story. So one of the staff members was here late. They were closing up for the day, making sure everything was locked. All the lights were shut off in the buildings, that sort of thing. But when they looked up into the window of the stable, there was a little boy staring down at them, which made no sense because the park had been closed for hours and literally they were just there locking up and making sure all the lights were off. So it didn't make sense that there would be a child still wandering the park. Like, where are the parents of this child? So they unlock the building, go up the stairs, go to the window, and there's no child there. There's no signs of a child. So they go back down, lock up for the night, and head out. Now, keep that in mind. Keep that little child in the back of your mind as we go throughout the rest of Heritage Park. We'll get back to him at some point. Now, with Heritage Park, it's crazy because it's almost a collection of energies and spirits that live here. I feel like Calgary in itself, I've done many videos on buildings in Calgary over the years, and Calgary seems to be a hub for paranormal activity and ghostly activity, and Heritage Park is no different, including in replica houses on the site, which I found really interesting. There's still energies there. This whole park is just filled with energies and spirits. Now let's move on to the next house. I honestly did not get the name of this building. I will be completely honest, we were like on the opposite side of the street of this building, but it was really cool and the guide was telling us all the ghost stories related to this building. Basically, there was a cholera outbreak at one point in time, as you guys may or may not know, and housed nurses, doctors, that sort of thing. You know, there was just a lot of sad energy, that type of energy, right? And there's this house. It's really pretty on the outside. It's white and teal. It's a 2-story house, and it of course has a lot of windows, a really nice porch, that sort of thing. But this house is haunted by a couple of things. One being a phantom cat. And it is reported by some staff members that work at Heritage Park that they've seen a cat within the house, and they have no explanation of it. The cat is seen all throughout the park, but one of the main places the staff have reported seeing this cat is in this house in particular. Also, this house has been reported to have doors and windows unlock and lock without any explanation. So it is up to the employees of the park to go around at the end of the day, make sure that all the doors are locked up, all the windows are closed, all that stuff, because you don't want mice going into these beautiful buildings and ruining things. You know, you'd ideally want everything to be shut and all the lights to be off. But there is reports of staff members going to this house on multiple occasions. Windows seem to just stay open, doors seem to just get unlocked and then locked magically, and there's no explanation for it. So I don't know if this building is really haunted by an evil spirit per se, maybe just a playful one. So let's move on to our next location, which is the Airdrie house. And by far the most creepiest house in Heritage Park, in my personal opinion. My favorite building, like I said, in Heritage Park is the Prince house, and I've done a full video on it, but the Airdrie house is just, it's on a different level of creepiness. I don't know how to explain it. This house was built in 1906 by Samuel Bushfield, and there is a story that the tour guide let us know about the Airdrie house that is really sad, and that's his family, his whole entire bloodline actually all died in the span of 2 decades, which is a very short amount of time for a whole bloodline to die off. And this house was built in Airdrie, Alberta. I actually lived in Airdrie for a long time, and I love the town of Airdrie, and I could definitely see this house as being a part of like the older part of Airdrie. But yeah, basically this house is haunted by a pretty negative spirit. Now, there's been a lot of instances, a lot of examples from staff that the spirit just does not want anybody in this house. I'm sure at one point in time when I visited Heritage Park 2, 3, 4 summers ago, I can't really remember, I probably did go into this house at one point, but a lot of people say that even in the summer when it's super hot outside, this house on the inside is still really cold People report feeling cold hands on their back. Some people even feel like they're getting pushed or pushed down the stairs at some point. This house has a back door that has been nailed shut for ages. There was a staff member that was there in the house that reported hearing a door slam shut very, very abruptly, and there was no wind that could have caused that because it shook the windows so hard that it was just like a very forceful door slam. And like I said, the back door has been nailed shut for God knows how long. So that is unexplainable. There's also a story about someone that was painting the outside of the house that felt cold hands on his back and pushed him off of the stoop. And he was so scared from the incident that he basically left the job behind and refused to go back and finish his job. Staff and visitors reporting that there is a very negative spirit that lives within the Airdrie house. So let's move on to a happier one, which is right next door, called the Thorpe House. And the Thorpe House is a beautiful yellow, sunny, gorgeous home. I love this one as well, and it just has a welcoming spirit. Even the outside of these two buildings are a huge contrast between each other. Airdrie House is cold and uninviting, and the Thorpe House is sunny, warm, and very inviting. The Thorpe House was built in 1886 by Bernd Thorpe, who was a Norwegian millwright. A very common haunting of the Thorpe House is Mrs. Thorpe, and she can be seen walking down the stairs. Children's laughter is often heard also in and around this house, just signaling a very happy family environment. And another guest reported seeing slippers move around in the bedroom, almost like someone was slow dancing. Now, it is reported that Mrs. Thorpe loved roses, and her husband would often buy her bouquets of roses. Now, it is reported that a staff member came to the house. There was no flowers in the pots. It was the end of the season in the fall where everything was taken away. It was sometime in the fall, in October, where there would be no flowers outside anymore. Everything was gone for the season, and they smelled a really strong scent of roses. And they went in the house, they didn't see any roses. They didn't see any roses anywhere, and the smell could not have been explained. Now, I've talked about this before in other houses that I've talked about. The Miller House, the Alberta Hotel, and its ghostly scents. It's usually a scent of lavender or lemon, but this one smells like roses, so that is a really pleasant story. The doors of this house also seem to be unlocked when they aren't supposed to be unlocked. So when staff members go in and lock the doors, they'll most often find the doors open. It's like Mrs. Thorpe is welcoming people to come in and have coffee with her. This house and the spirits that live here are said to be really happy, and it's a different type of eerie feeling because the house is so warm and welcoming, and it's almost like a faded family memory from back, back like 100 years ago. So that is the Thorpe House. So let's move on to the pharmacy. So yes, during the time that the park is actually open, you can go into the pharmacy. It is still a general store right now. I think it's like a candy shop or something like that. They do have stuff for sale, and you can kind of see it from the window. Glenhill's drugstore was originally built in 1908 in Saskatchewan, and it was moved all the way from Saskatchewan to Heritage Park. Now, the most prominent spirit that is said to haunt Glenhill's drugstore is Smokey the cat. We talked about this earlier, but this is another prominent spot that the cat can be seen is in the pharmacy. And now, I don't know, I think that animal spirits are something that's really just a positive energy. I don't see anything bad about animal spirits whatsoever. I love that this place is haunted by a phantom cat. And it's said that construction workers that were working on this pharmacy at some point saw the cat, and they named him Smokey because he would always disappear. So they'd see him in a corner, blink, and then he would be gone, and they would see him somewhere else at another point in time. Also, there is said to be a noise of watches swaying. Moving on to the little playground located within Heritage Park. It's kind of just as soon as you turn the corner from the pharmacy, you'll see a little child's park. Now, it is said that this area is haunted by this lady in a black veil, also known as the Lady in Black. And she's said to be in her mid-30s wearing a full black veil, and she's said to be weeping or really upset and distraught because she can't find her child. She's said to frequent around the playground and around the school as well. And I almost wonder if the child from the first story is actually her son, and he's just playing hide and seek. Now, moving on to the Prince house, which is my favorite house in the park, like I mentioned. Now, like I said, I have a full video here on my channel about the Prince house, so if you guys want to dive a little deeper into the Prince house and the hauntings, definitely check out my video. I will leave it down in the pinned comment below, as well as in my Spooktober playlist if you guys are interested. But I'm gonna go over it somewhat briefly because I've already gone through a deep dive on the house. I've actually gone into the house when it was open during the on season, so you guys can get some views of the interior of the house. This house was built in 1894 by Peter Anthony Prince. Now, he had quite an interesting life. He basically had 3 wives and 2 of them died. The lady in white is said to haunt the Prince house. She is seen in the 2nd floor nursery holding a baby, even though historically no Prince children were raised here. On the locked off 3rd floor with no electricity, lights have been seen to be shining from windows at night. Doors swinging open and close, mannequins have been moved, dogs freeze in fear when they go inside the Prince house. There is said to be a really sad aura around the house. Peter Prince lost all 3 of his 4 wives due to illness: diabetes, tuberculosis, and cancer. There is said to be unlocked doors, just like the other buildings here in Heritage Park, where they open and they lock and they unlock for no reason. Footsteps are often heard around the house. There is reported that some days the energy of the Prince house is different. Energy here is stronger on some days, which is very unexplained. And there is a clock here in the Prince house that has, you know, no working parts. It's just a prop. It's there for decoration and is said to chime once in a while with no explanation again. So that is the story of the Prince house, and that is the ghost tour of Heritage Park. I do hope you guys enjoyed this one. Last but not least, I want to talk about the windmill of the park. I thought the windmill was really cool. I filmed it. I just wanted to include it here. It's one of Heritage Park's original buildings, and yeah, that is all for this one. I do hope you enjoyed it. Definitely highly recommend the ghost tour if you can go. If you are local to Calgary, or you know, if you're traveling here anytime soon, definitely go and check out Heritage Park. It is an amazing place, and I hope you love it as much as I do. So that is all for this video. If you are not already subscribed, please go ahead, click that subscribe button below. I upload 3 times a week, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I will see you guys soon with a new video. Bye!